Hey guys, this is Engineer Your Supply Chain. I'm Jim Moran, Supply Chain and NPI expert and owner of Jim Moran Consultants. I want to help you get started using AI for your supply chain by sharing what it takes to get started. Now, I'm a big fan of sci-fi books and movies, from Arthur C. Clarke to Carl Sagan to Ernest Cline, and it's really cool to see some of those visions kind of come to life in the form of AI. And AI is really an awesome tool for so many businesses and executives. I've seen it start to really help operations execs and supply chain directors get a smarter view of their supply chain. But it's all brand new and it can be difficult to get started. So I'm going to cover a few things here to help you kind of get started with AI. So the first thing is what data is used, right? So AI mainly looks at two key sets of data: your internal and your external data. Now your internal data is your MRP data: costs, lead time, vendors, their locations, etc. It can be downloaded from your MRP software, your spreadsheets, or whatever platform you're using to track your data, okay? External data is, well, everything outside the confines of your production facility, like policy changes. In a previous video, I talked about how the new presidential election is going to affect policies, and how that's going to affect your supply chain. It could also include armed conflicts and strikes, natural disasters in your area, natural disasters at your vendors or in their path of shipment to you. All these kind of external data that can be really tough to keep up with. AI has a way to kind of track that and take a look at your internal data as well and kind of match the two and say, hold up, there's an issue coming up. Okay. Another thing to remember: prompts matter. All right. So AI is only as good as the prompts that it's given. It still requires humans to enter the prompts and enter the data. There's a whole section, brand new section of science called prompt engineering. This is dedicated to identifying and testing the best prompts for AI tools. So work with the experts that already have it figured out. Okay. A third thing to keep in mind is that bad data is better than no data. So even if you feel your internal data is not perfect, perhaps it needs updating, it's still really useful for helping AI predict fires or find risks in your supply chain. Even with the bad data, the info that comes back, it's still better than putting out fires after they start, right? So the idea behind using AI in your supply chain is to help find fires, prevent the fires from starting in the first place, right? And we all spend most of our days fighting fires in our supply chain. What if we could just kind of stop the fires, prevent the fires from happening in the first place, right? So keeping that in mind, one answer to IA assessments and an AI review to your supply chain is that perhaps your data is bad, or at least it's not as good as it could be. This can be really frustrating, an answer to find, right? Because we want to blame suppliers, logistics, conflict in the Mideast, whatever. But it can be frustrating to have the mirror shine back on us and say, well, actually our data isn't as good, right? But that's okay, because it's a really useful answer to have. And it really points a direction into one of the main reasons why your supply chain may not be performing at its maximum potential, right? Think about it. You're already using this data to make inventory and purchasing decisions, but perhaps you're unable to see that your data was inaccurate. And now that you know, you can fix it. One of the usual suspects for inaccurate or outdated data is lead time, right? If your system is showing 5 days because that's what you demand from your supplier, but they consistently deliver in 8, your data is not reflecting real life and your planning might be suffering because of it. So that's just one example. Certain reasons why your MRP data might be bad: perhaps through mergers. Multiple manufacturing sites may be using different systems. They could be using different SAP systems. They might have different processes and standards for data entry and PSYOP. Um, One thing I found was perhaps there's a time when a new leader implemented a new way of managing data. Like it probably lasted like 2 years, and then the business went back to another method and failed to revert the old data. So just there's many reasons why this might be, but all this is okay, right? Knowing that your data isn't perfect can help you develop strategies to fix it. So those are a few things to keep in mind when getting started with AI to review your supply chain and find risks. And this can be really confusing and complicated because it is, and it's all brand new. But this is why bringing in an AI supply chain consultant makes a lot of sense. Right? AI has immense potential, and implementing it effectively in a supply chain isn't exactly plug and play. Okay. Remember, AI is only good as the prompts it's given and only as good as the data it has to work with. So, without a knowledgeable expert kind of guiding you along and providing the AI with the right prompts and the ability to deal with imperfect production data, your results will probably fall short. An AI aligned consultant can identify and implement the right tools for your needs as well, keeping you one step ahead of potential disruptions. So, I've seen how AI supply chain risk assessments have tailored operations. It's helped provide a rapid, accurate way to identify and address vulnerabilities that could impact your production. So, and the good news is that AI supply chain companies already exist to help. Um, if and AI supply chain risk assessments are actually pretty inexpensive. Um, they're about 0.1% of what a lying down situation could cost your annual revenue. So, uh, you know, don't wait for a crisis to act. There are AI supply chain risk assessments out there. I can offer you a link in the show notes to for an AI risk assessment application to see if your supply chain fits the profile for an AI supply chain risk assessment. Also, you can reach out to me at any time for any other kind of guidance. I've worked with a few AI supply chain companies that do different things. So you can always just reach out to me. Again, all that info is in the notes below for how to get a hold of me. You can email me at jim@jimmoran.net. That's JIMMORAN.net. Okay. And yeah, so let's make sure we future-proof your operations and make lying down situations a thing of the past. Coming up in another video is what kind of, I'm going to list like 5 topics, 5 ways that AI can identify risks in your supply chain. So what those risks are that AI can identify in your supply chain. Okay, so make sure you check that out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure to follow me on LinkedIn and to make sure that you're updated when anytime I post any kind of video or article. Okay? Thanks. Be safe. Make it a great day.